Howdy.
I'm Great Pilgrim. Sorry, I'm a little bit tired. Been running around and doing some shopping. Today is January 31st, and that's important because our dear leader, our dictator, Joe Biden, decided that incandescent light bulbs would be rendered totally illegal as of tomorrow, August 1st. Well, I have some chandeliers that use these little tea lamps, and they're incandescent. The LED bulbs that replace them, if you put one of those in there with any kind of other incandescence in it, all of them go pop. It kills the LED and it kills the incandescent. I don't understand why. I don't really care. I just know incandescents work, and I load that up and it'll last for about 3 years that way. And then when they go out, well, I put another one in there. And anyway, I happen to know Ace Hardware had a passel of these little tea lamps, so I bought them out. It hurt me a little bit financially because I really don't have any money to spare. But oh well, you do what you have to do to get by. And screw Joe Biden. Sorry. Anyway, and one thing I wanted to start with. I was talking about a 1959 American rifleman that had an ad in it for an FN-49, which was a Fabrique Nationale rifle. And one fellow wrote me a reply in a response, and Garrett Woods is his name, and he mentioned that he picked one up at some kind of a auction or something, and at a dirt cheap price. And I went, oh. Because I passed one up myself years ago. But I just wanted to say, if Garrett's watching this book you should get. It's called the FN-49, The Last Elegant Old World Military Rifle. And it's right. I mean, this was a FN made to FN standards and style, but made with a wooden stock. And it's a beautiful rifle. And I wish I'd gotten one of those 8 Mauser ones that King Farouk had ordered. Oh, well. C'est la vie. Anyway, but that's not what I was going to talk about. Back around the 1780s, 1790s, there was a fellow named Eli Whitney. And Eli Whitney was really known for this thing called the cotton gin. And he was also big with this thing called interchangeable parts, in which he'd build some gizmo, and you could build 3 or 4 of them, take them all apart, and get all the parts from 1, 2, 3. It doesn't have to be the same one. Just grab the widget from this one and the Gimshaw from that one and the Nijkathinga from over here, put them all together and build another one of them. Well, he did that in front of the politicians in Washington, made a lot of money making early rifles and other things for them, and the cotton gin. Well, when he passed away, his son was a kid, and his company, which was a pretty big company, he'd found a little town down near Hartford called Whitneyville, named after him, modestly, and he named his son Eli Whitney Jr. Well, when Jr. got to be, Eli died in 1825, and when his son turned 22, I think, he took over the main armory, and now Eli Whitney Jr. was a very shrewd man. He was a trained engineer, and he was brilliant at it. And one thing he developed, now these are Remingtons, these 3 in the middle, I'll show you in a minute, but he developed the top type strap revolvers. But that wasn't the first revolver he developed. The Whitneyville Armory, he was, well, first of all, let's see, we started this in 1825 when Eli Whitney Sr. died. Eli Whitney Jr. was maybe 6 or 7 at the time. So this is a few decades later. 1857. Why is 1857 important in this story? Well, up until then, and earlier on, in 1847, Colt had started making the Colt Walker. And the first Colt Walkers and some of the later pistols he had were made in the Whitneyville Armory. And Colt, in his wheeler dealer way, ended up getting the machine works for making them from Eli Whitney, and took him to build his own factory and built his own gun making firm, and the rest is history. Meanwhile, Eli Whitney Jr. developed this top strap revolver, a model of it, and this book is on that. It's called Remington's First Revolvers, and this is about a patent design by a man named, what was his name? Fordyce Beale. And Fordyce Beale made an absolutely beautiful, beautiful revolver. I've never held one. I've never seen one. I've seen them in books, and I've seen them in videos. But I would love to have one. This is as rare as a Root revolver is on the Colt side, and I'd love to have both. But anyway, what happened was in 1857, Colt's patent on the revolver ran out, and when that happened, everybody scrambled to make their own, including Eli Whitney. His armory started churning out pistols, and a little after that, this little thing called Fort Sumner happened, and Civil War. And there's a fellow who took a Whitneyville revolver, and he made his own. It's called a Spiller and Burr. Spiller and Burr is a Confederate unlicensed copy of the Whitneyville. So notice the top strap up here. Another one who made it, but he made it licensed, was Remington. This is model 1858 and 36. I also have this 1858. This was a brass Italian-made clone of it, good for going out and shooting and stuff. And I have one rarity. This is a 44. This is also an 1858 pattern. This is a Navy Arms. It does say made in Italy under here, but it doesn't have a single Italian proof mark on it because it was made by Navy Arms. What does that mean? Back in the mid-1950s, a fellow by the name of Val Forget, I think was his last name, got on a plane and stuffed a Colt 1851 36 into his suitcase and flew to Italy, to Brixia. And I think he talked to Uberti and said, "Can you make me one of these?" And that particular genius of an Italian gunmaker went out and said, "Yeah, I can make it." He says, "Good, make me a few hundred of them." So he did, and he brought them back to the States and sold them in his company called Navy Arms. And then he brought over in 1860, and later in 1849, and the Wells Fargo, and and on and on and on. And Uberti went and got another gun maker, Pieta, and another one called Army San Marcos, and another, there were about 5 or 6 others that got into this game, started making them. Well, these guys churned out so many different patterns. I mean, you can get the Colt Lamont, the Lamont. You can get Confederate revolvers. I've got many, obviously Spiller and Burr. And I mean, you can get all kinds of cool stuff from those Italian makers. I've got a book on this in collecting modern Colt black powder revolvers. This is on a third gen Colts, plus the Italians. And it's a pretty good book, but it's only on the Colts. Very hard to find one on any clones of the Remingtons or others. But anyway, there is one other that isn't exactly a Remington, and isn't exactly a Whitneyville, and isn't exactly even a Civil War, but it's called a Roger and Spencer. And as Blackie Thomas observed, that's a Walker or a Dragoon, because this thing will hold 50 grains of powder. But unlike the Dragoon or the Walker, this thing is made of good quality steel and can handle it. This, I've done it, by the way, with this one. This is made by EMF, another one of the makers. And they don't make them anymore because, excuse me, they went out of business. But this is, some say, is the best quality black powder revolver ever made. And I believe it. you know, I like the Walker, I like the Dragoon, I like the 1860. I've even got a McCullough 1860 over there. Steel frame, so it's much better than the original. But this thing, the North, they had ordered a whole bunch of these from, what was it, Spencer and Davis, and they didn't get there until about the time Appomattox was signed. Well, the South surrendered. Here's these thousands of revolvers showing up, and they showed up. They went, okay, well, we agreed to it, so here's your check for them. Now go away and don't make any more because we're broke. So they put them all in a warehouse and forgot about it for many years. And then along comes a man named Francis Bannerman, and he buys them surplus and sold them off in his little catalog. Here's a Bannerman catalog. And yeah, you can find this in here. I think they were like $5 or something that you could buy them for retail. It was insane. I think these cost the government something like $25 each. But they were the best black powder revolver of that period. They were sort of the perfection of the design. But they went on from there to be gathering dust in a warehouse. At that time, there was a lot of people out still in the West, you know, buffalo hunters and the like. And they bought a lot of these just because they were a good gun, good handgun, and they were cheap, and you could buy them and you could use them. Well, then when Bannerman ran out, he went on to other things. I think EMF picked up the banner, and they put these out, and Navy Arms and Dixie Gun Works and a few others marketed them for a while, and they were very popular for a while. Well, let me put this up. Matter of fact, let me put this up too. Anyway, I found this one. I have to go check my notes to see where I found it. But it's beautiful, and it's just, I mean, they all had this wonderful plum color on the frame here, and a regular bluing on the revolver on the barrel. It's a top brake, or top strap, I mean, and it's just, I mean, take a look at that, and the sights on these, unlike a Colt where you're looking through the hammer, there's a trough here that goes to a bead front sight. It's just and it just feels so good in the hand too. Yes, you can shoot 50 grains out of it. Oh my goodness, you can shoot 50 grains out of it. I did. Did it out of a Walker too, but this one, well, they both kick like a mule. Let's put it that way. I could do the Dragoon that way too, I suppose. I think you can only get about 40 grains in a Dragoon though. Anyway, this is a good book on the Beal. These are all Beal patent designs. This was an early design. It wasn't all that popular or that good. Sort of like the Colt Patterson. Wasn't that good, but boy, it was popular with people like the Texas Rangers. In the Seminole Wars, they loved them. Anyway, that was all I was going to talk about today. I love this. This is a, I think this is Army San Marcos, made Spiller and Burr. And I picked this up used. I picked up most of these used. This, oh yeah, that's right. No, this one. I bought this one as an estate sale recently. But that Spiller and Burr was one of my earliest black powder revolvers, and I shot it a lot. And it's a very nice revolver. It doesn't work as well as some of the others here. These Remingtons, these are good solid frame revolvers, excluding this brass one. Meh. But and this thing is one of my favorites. Problem when you have as many as I do, you got a lot of favorites. Anyway, happy trails.